the parading of the colors and the names standing for the national anthem, the arrival of the official party, and the invocation. Sound 4 bells. Captain, United States Navy, retired, arriving. Sound 4 bells. Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Sound 4 bells. Naval Medical Research Command, arriving.
Silent, left, forward, face.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem will be performed by Miss Santina Mailotesi. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Stand by, colors. Attention. Carry colors. Ready to. Forward, march.
And salute.
Detail, halt. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color Guard, retire the colors.
Shoulder, arms. Ready to. Forward, march.
Ready. Father Yeskanis will now offer the invocation.
We gather today, perhaps coming from different religions, different denominations, but we turn our thoughts to God. Holy God, we ask you to send your Spirit to be with us this day, this afternoon, this occasion, this ceremony. Be with us. Holy God, we express our gratitude to you for our United States, our nation, for our military, those who serve in our armed forces. And our gratitude for Captain Danko, for her service of our nation, for her service of the sick and the suffering. Lord, we offer you this ceremony, this time together, for your glory. We make this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Participants?
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Captain Danko's family members in attendance today. Captain Danko's husband, Mr. John Danko, their children, Daniel, Peter, and Mary Danko. Captain Danko's mother, Mrs. Judith Tompkins. Captain Danko's mother-in-law, Mrs. Mary Danko. Captain Danko's sister and her children, Dr. Justine Kelly, Ryan, and Caitlin Kelly. Captain Danko's brother-in-law and his wife, Paul and Elizabeth Danko. Captain Danko's cousins, Miss Phyllis Soloy from California and Mr. Michael Soloy from Maryland. And Captain Danko's local and second mother and her spouse, Mrs. Alice Lanning and Mr. Aloysius Hennessy, Captain, United States Navy retired. Thank you for supporting Captain Danko's distinguished career. I speak for the Naval Medical Research Command when I say how honored we are to have you here today. We also would like to welcome each of you who are Captain Danko's friends, co-workers, colleagues, and everybody who are in attendance today. Friends who made the long trip from Oxford and Loveland, Ohio, and North Carolina. Colleagues from the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center and the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences. Her neighbors from King's Grant in West Friendship, Maryland, and her dear friends from St. Louis Catholic Church. Thank you for taking the time to join us in honoring Captain Danko and her family today. The retirement ceremony is the nation's expression of appreciation for a job well done and serves as the official recognition of Captain Danko and her family's 30 total years of loyal, faithful, and honorable affiliation with the Navy, the active duty naval service. Naval protocol honors and communicates ranks in a variety of ways, including some of that will be a part of today's events. The most recognized are coming to attention and the initiation and return of salutes. Navy ships will pipe senior personnel aboard upon arrival and departure, which you witnessed just a few moments ago. In association with this piping is the announcement of the leader's command and rank and the sounding of the bells. The number of bells is determined by the honoree's rank. The bell that is being used today is particularly special as it was cast by Captain Danko's husband, John, at the family's manufacturing company to honor her dedicated service to our nation and the American people. It truly is an honor for me to serve as your Master of Ceremony today in special recognition of Captain Danko. You know, I have known Janine, Captain Danko, for many years, since the days of our internal medicine residencies here in Bethesda at the National Naval Medical Center. And it's really been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to work alongside Captain Danko through the years. And she has been an exceptional colleague, shipmate, and really has been a true best friend. So thank you very much. You know, as a compassionate physician, she touched so many lives of patients as well as trainees, residents, fellows, medical students, civilian staff, all of whom she inspired and encouraged. So thank you, Captain Danko, for your contributions that have strengthened the most military health system. And thank you for your extraordinary leadership and your dedicated service. You have just mentored countless of military and civilian personnel, many of whom are here this afternoon. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Captain William Denniston, Commander, Naval Medical Research Command, for his remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, welcome. What a great day to have a retirement ceremony. What a great venue. Captain Danko, you picked a really beautiful place and a great day to do it. So, as you know, we don't have very many places like this in the military, and definitely not in NMRC. So, guests, as Captain Tinzamora mentioned, today is the day that we set aside to honor our valued shipmate. Today we will focus on the many great things that Captain Danko has done in the past for NMRC, Navy Medicine, Department of Navy, and this nation. Throughout the ceremony today, you'll hear Captain Danko's 22 years of service, which is true for pay and retirement purposes, but she served this nation for much longer. And I recommend you look at the back of your program, and you'll see many of the places she served in the Navy. So go ahead and take a minute. All right. As I mentioned, today is about honoring Captain Danko and her service. But before we get to that, I want to take a little time to let you know the person, not just the sailor. I had an opportunity to sit down with her to discuss her years of service the other day, which we did, and we talked off and on for the last year or so. But one of the things that kept resonating throughout our discussion was not only her love for this country, but her love for her family. Whether talking about her mom, her dad, her sister, husband, sons, or daughter, her bright glimpse shine through. The folks from my command know that sometimes I like to do things a little different. Sometimes it may feel a little awkward. That's me. Sometimes I even say, welcome to my awkwardness. So, with that being said, Captain Danko's family, welcome to my awkwardness. You'll understand. I want everyone to know who you are, so they know who to thank today at the end of the ceremony. So I'm taking a moment to share some of what I've learned about each of you. As you know, there are always people behind the scenes who help make us who we are. Moms do a great job working behind the scenes. This is Judith Tompkins. Judy, would you please stand so people can see who you are? This is my awkwardness. Dads are pretty great too. Mr. Tompkins couldn't make it here today, but sir, I wish you were here so you could tell me lots of stories. I know you have a lot to share. I know as parents you must be so proud. By the end of the ceremony today, you will be meeting. Other folks sometimes do things by our sides, encouraging us, challenging us, pushing us. In Captain Danko's case, literally before she was born, she had someone doing that by her side. Her sister, Dr. Justine Kelly. Beautiful. Later in life, we have people in our lives that provide us with a reason to push ourselves. In an attempt to be humble, Captain Danko tried not to boast too much about her kids, but as parents, it's not always easy. I have 2 kids of my own, who I'm very proud of. In talking about her kids, I realized there are many similarities between our own kids. Trumpet players, piano players, Boy Scouts, playing sports, we share in common. I'm going to say a little something about each of you. As I mentioned each of you, I would love for you to stand and wave the people behind you. But my boys tell me not to force such a thing, so that's up to you. I need to be great people. Starting with the youngest, Mary. A rising high school freshman. Competitive soccer player who loves graphic design, also a jazz pianist. If you're interested, there's a piano, maybe later. Would love to hear some later. So, thank you. Peter, a rising high school competitive wrestler, plays both tenor and alto saxophone, and all that, and he's still a Life Scout in the Boy Scouts. And Daniel, a rising studying mechanical engineering business at the University of Maryland, College Park, plays the trumpet and piano. Speaking of piano, Daniel, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, you ready? So,
I know you asked your mom I know your mom asked if you could learn a patriotic song or not. I don't know if you did. But there's a piano right there. Wait, I have on good authority that if you play a song here and now, your mom may just get you that baby bread and put it in front of you. What do you think? Right. Again, welcome to my office. And do you guys know who military members who are our biggest supporters are? Spouses. Captain Danko's husband, John. John is a third-generation foundry owner of his family business. His company serves the DoD, making castings for military weapon systems. He doesn't just run the company, he's an accomplished craftsman himself. As a matter of fact, as was mentioned earlier, he cast the bell that we are using here today. What a beautiful representation of the intersection of Q2. Unfortunately, I can imagine that's why I get emotional. I can imagine that bell will be passed down for generation to generation. And your family, and the stories that will be told about it, including starting today. That's what you've done for your women. What a great way to ensure that today will not be forgotten for generations. So, again, I know today is about Captain Danko, and rightly so, but to her family, her parents, her sister, kids, husband, extended family, thank you for loaning us your daughter, sister, mom, wife, and friend for the past 22 to 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct honor to introduce our guest speaker for today, Dr. Rob Leota, Captain Medical Corps, United States Navy retired, and Dean of Admissions at the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences. Dr. Leota and Captain Danko first met as interns back in 2001 at the former National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda. His orders took him to California, and he deployed as a flight surgeon but he and Captain Danko had been close friends and then served together again at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. They both served as deputy directors at the hospital and led many hospital initiatives aimed at serving the graduate medical education trainees and at enhancing surgical and medical services. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Leo.
Well, thank you, everyone, and it is such a privilege to be here with you today, Janine and the family. I can't thank you how much this friendship has been, and it has been just a wonderful ride. And I really want to start, as I prepared these remarks, I thought of three things that are really just epitomize or really define what Janine is. And the first one is that I wanted to hit on was gifted. And when you talk about someone gifted, but she's so gifted, but it is her intense drive and effort that makes her even better and even shine more. And so, she went to University of Miami, and in fact, met one of my actually was in the NRTC unit, and I did not know this until recently. She was a Marine option NRTC midshipman, which is pretty intense. And my wife's a Marine, and so I know that, and I love the Marines. So she was, but because she wanted to be a doctor, she couldn't stay with the Marines, and she had to come to the Navy, to the good side. She graduated first among all of those midshipmen in her undergrad there. It was the top cadet or top midshipman with that. And then one of my buddies who knew her at the time said one of the only arguments he had with her was that she said, I'm not going to get into medical school. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do in the Navy. And they argued about this. Now, and she really did. She tried to argue this. Well, she does get into medical school, but in the #1 medical school in the United States at that time, Johns Hopkins. And when you look at it, I was actually looking at this, I looked at some stats. Johns Hopkins at that time in 1995, 1996, had been the #1 medical school for 6 years in a row. And then it continued that. And again, they're #2 this year. So, but it's a prestigious place, and it's not easy to get into, and she did that. And really, the wonderful thing is that the Navy got her after that. And that's when I got to meet her. She graduated from Hopkins, actually got her MPH there as well, and so it took her a little bit longer to graduate with that extra year. So I was actually 1 year behind her, but then we started internship together at National Naval Medical Center Bethesda. And I will tell you, that was such a fun year. I mean, we didn't have hours, there were no duty hour restrictions, we lived at the hospital. I mean, every third night we were there. I mean, I remember days where we would be like just zombies walking around. And there was just something so sweet about that because there was a bond among interns, and that we were learning our trade. And I do remember, because I was a surgical intern, she was medicine, and even though everyone thinks they're the best specialty, and now I'm a radiologist, and we think we're smart, the internists are the smartest. And I will say that only in this room. And especially those sub-trained ones. If I'm sick, I want an internist on that. That's for sure. If no one knows what's going on, I want an internist on that. So, and that's really what she was. And that's, as she was going up through those ranks, it was a lot of fun, because I was on the surgical teams, and we would, we would always pass, or we'd be working together at night and talking about patients and consulting each other. And I was just so proud of being a part of a class with her. And we really, our whole class, I think, we were just proud of that and having those times together with each other with that. And so she was amazing, and most of us had to go out as general medical officers. She got selected and picked up to go straight through and to be an internist, and then to get to her ID subset specialty, got to go straight through as well. Many of us have to wait for all of those drills, but you got to go straight through with it, and it was fantastic. And so I went away for a while. I had to go do some of those things. I came back, and she was already attending, and now I'm a junior resident with that. So she continued to excel though. And throughout that career, her first duty assignment, really at Naval Medical Research Labs, and was, leading trials, the dengue trials, influenza trials, really becoming, some of the things that, we take them lightly, but she had huge research projects that she was just overseeing multiple places, and really just was already identified as someone great. And the teams, they knew it, they saw that with her, and as she continued to go up through those ranks, I really got to see firsthand how well she worked. I knew her and I adored her. And when I then got to work several years later back when we were deputy directors together, I saw how much heart she put into everything. And it was really that heart. I remember going home and talking to my wife and I was like, Janine is good, but she's great. She doesn't forget anything. If there's a list of do-outs I've forgotten, she's like, oh, what about this? Did we do this yet? Nothing fell through the cracks with her. And it wasn't about her own self-gain. It was about doing the mission because it's the right thing to do, and it was genuinely heartfelt. And it was beautiful with that. When I was retiring last year, I just sent out my script just to let everyone know what was going on. Janine proofed that whole thing. and I was like, this is amazing. I mean, it was amazing. And there were significant errors that I didn't get. So that's how she does. That's how she does business, not even being asked to do that with it. Also, some of that excellence then, as she went on, continuing to go up, we lost her in our directorate, and I remember the chief administrator, one of the best administrators, Mr. Nelson, Jeremy Nelson, looks at me and he goes, Rob, we can't replace her. No one will fill her shoes. And I said, exactly, I know. We're just going to try to get someone that can do it. That was really, and from Jeremy, who's had multiple leaders in that area, that was such a glowing compliment. And in fact, and he was so sad he couldn't be here today because he's in South Dakota with his family at this time. But with just talking to him, and we joked because there was just so much joy in what she does. And he even said it. He's like, "What about that laugh? And when you laugh, and you could hear it down the hallway, and there was just pure joy, pure joy with that." And we do. We truly love that. And continuing on, even after that, continuing to go up to really lead the market, being chosen by Admiral Swap to really help and optimize patient care, optimize productivity. She got to do all of those things, and then finally finishing up again, now in charge at Naval Medical Research Labs, in charge of multiple projects, multi-million-dollar grants with the National Institutes of Health. And continuing to do research with influenza. It's just, she continues to do that. And using those great skills that she had just wonderfully. And these are all fantastic, right? But these have been fantastic. However, it is her selflessness. And so that was the third. Gifted, devoted, but now selfless. And it is that selflessness that she has. And as I actually was looking at this, there's selflessness, but there's a drive. And I actually went a little off script here, but I wanted to because she's been so driven and wanted to be a doctor from a young child. And so your dad, he wrote me a letter. And so I'm going to read this here for you today because he was really sad that he couldn't be here because of his illness today. But this is what he wrote. Dear Janine, I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you today due to my health issues to help celebrate your career achievements. But I do want you to know how very proud I am of your decision to join the Navy 30 years ago, and of all your many accomplishments that have come from it. I've always been amazed at your decision to become a doctor as a young girl in grade school, and you never changed your goal. Watching you grow up, I always knew you would accomplish whatever you wanted, and that is what you've always done in your life. Set a goal, worked endlessly hard to attain it, you dreamed it big, and it's gotten you far. You were always a smart, inquisitive, energetic, and determined child. Nothing stopped you. It seems to me that you've always pushed the limits on what you could achieve. Once you achieved something or got too comfortable, you went and climbed another taller mountain and have continued to do so. The Navy got a real gem when you signed up. Passionate in all that you do, from treating your patients to mentoring those under you and giving them direction, you have impacted more lives than you can probably imagine. And you've done it with fitting in so much in a day. That is one of the great mysteries of my life as to how you have balanced your work and home life. You are the busiest and one of the most accomplished individuals I know. I look forward to your next adventures in life to see what else you will take on that makes a difference in the world. Many congratulations on your retirement from the Navy. Your loving and very proud dad. And that specialness of Janine, it really, and when I was thinking about that, I thought, well, I hadn't met John yet, and I only knew Janine before you guys met each other, and I remember thinking, I was like, oh, she's the epitome of excellence. This has to be a special guy. And it's true. I mean, he's handsome. He's smart. He's an engineer. The love and the way, I mean, when I've gotten to talk to him, the way he runs the foundry, but the way he cares for his employees, I mean, it's like you guys are two molds. You guys fit that same way. And really, some of that strength, some of the people that I talked to and hearing this, some of your good friends, they said, you know what, Janine has like a 30-hour day. And, you know, she lives on a 30-hour day. And I thought about that and I said, that may be true, but I think it's really your faith. And it's the grace that pours into that gives you that. And you guys both share that. And that's the beauty of it, that has really made this manifested, this beautiful family that you guys have and continue. I mean, just hearing the accolades. And I got to eat lunches with your mom a lot. And all we would do is talk about the kids and what you guys were doing. And it was just such, you know, it's special and precious to me because she was so accomplished at work, but you guys were forefront. And, you know, and that's really what we talked about. And her being able to balance all of that, I mean, it was, but I know it's grace. And that was really just so special to see that with you guys. And that selflessness. And so even talking, you know, what you guys do, what you guys do with the church, what you guys do for your neighbors. And in fact, one of the, you know, one neighbor who just recently passed away with ALS and how you were involved with that. That's just one example of a myriad of things of, yes, you're doing all these amazing things, but you're giving back. And those are just such beautiful things that I didn't know about that actually that, you know, your boss has told me about. And then how you guys were involved with that. And that selflessness carried over. You did this in the military. You know, you had young children and you get deployed, and you're out on the USS Pearl Harbor and you're going on a humanitarian mission for 6 months, you know, which was amazing. I think that I actually looked up that mission. We went to 6 countries with 6 ships, and all throughout, you know, the Solomon Islands, the Marshall Islands, and that team that they went out there, they treated 18,000 patients. They actually did 136 medical training engagements at nations there. And they hosted 208 subject matter expert exchanges with other nations out on that. But you were a part of that. And really our best and greatest was out on that ship with you out there, Janine. And then, you know, just recently when she got deployed with the pandemic in New York City. And, you know, at that point in time, we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. And, you know, and it was just like nonchalant. Like, I mean, it wasn't easy. And I know there was nothing easy about that deployment. But Janine was so brave. I mean, she wasn't thinking about herself, and you know, I mean, the thoughts were early on. It's like our healthcare providers are going to get sick and could die from this, and she was right on that front scene there, and ready and poised, and did that, and was a part of that. In fact, I even remember when she ultimately did get COVID, she called me, and it was over Christmas, and she's like, I went through everything, you know, and I did, you know, she's like, that protective equipment works. I didn't get COVID, and then when she came home, she got COVID. So it was just, it's so fitting, and so selfless with the way you do that. And really, the last thing that selflessness really translates with is these friendships. And many of us in this room, just the little things that she takes, she makes a point of being a friend and calling and reaching out to you and saying, hey, we need to meet, or, you know, or sending that note. And perfect examples of that, you know, with Dr. Beckett in the room here, you know, they delivered at the same time. You know, Dominique and Peter were born at the same time. And she said, you know, it's these little things that Janine does. You know, they're walking out or they're leaving, they just delivered together. But Janine makes a point to go into that room and just share that joy that they were all experiencing together, that motherhood, those children together. And she took the time to do that and really just to shine that. And that's something that, you know, Charmaine, she remembered that. And those little things are countless little things that she does for others with that. And then the same thing with your old roommate, or actually not roommate, but your dorm mate and NRTC cadet midshipman together, Greg Fields. He said the same thing. Janine would be like the first knocking on my door, making sure we're ready for inspection, making sure I was up so that we could go out and do these, do the morning PT, whatever evolutions you were doing. She's always caring about others. And even for me and my family, when we had twins, who was up on the wards right away, giving the little loveys to our twins, which Isabel, her pink lovey, she cannot do anything without. And if we lose that lovey, it will be horrible. So, but she sleeps with her. I mean, that lovey has been through the washer many times and buried. and eaten and just slobbered on. It was just beautiful. But every time I see that love you, I think of Janine. And it was just that really little gift of selflessness and friendship that defines her and everything that she does with that. And so, in just conclusion, Janine, overall, I'm just so proud. I'm just so proud of our friendship. I'm proud of this career that you've had and that I've gotten to be a part of it. I'm proud of what you've done for the Navy, what you've done for our country. I recruit students now to try to come in here, and I always use you as an example. And then I just say, you can do this too. And they ask, different things. It's just been beautiful, that selflessness. And that selflessness, I know Judy, she gets that from you. And in fact, because part of this, all of those times, she goes on the wards, there's selflessness in just being on the ward team and the countless hours there. But who was also there? Judy would come into town and help with the family every time. And that is like, she didn't just get this, she modeled it, and she knows it from the family, from your whole entire family, all of you. And she's passed it down to you guys that are doing it now, and we're seeing it in all the things that you guys are accomplished. So that, with much joy and much gratitude, I am thankful for our friendship and the beautiful memories we have. It's been a great honor to serve alongside such an amazing woman who really epitomizes what it means to be a daughter of God, to be a mother, to be a wife, a naval officer, a physician, and a genuine friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leota. Now, I would like to invite Captain Danko to join Captain Denniston at the center stage. Captain Denniston will present Captain Danko's retirement award. Military guests, please rise. Attention to award. The President of the United States takes the pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal, Gold Star in lieu of second award to Captain Janine R. Danko, Medical Corps, United States Navy, for outstanding meritorious service while serving as Department Head, Translational and Clinical Research Department, Director, Clinical Trials Center, and Head, Emerging Infectious Diseases Office, Naval Medical Research Command, Silver Spring, Maryland, from August 2021 to August 2023. Captain Danko displayed outstanding leadership of a research portfolio with 30 clinical trials and projects and efficiently managed a budget of $1 million annually. She established a new department, facilitated 4 new collaborations with academic and industry partners for new research initiatives, and flawlessly led a clinical trial examining the effect of melatonin on the immune response following influenza vaccination in over 100 people. As chair of the Command's Global Emerging Infectious Diseases Working Group, she strategically led outbreak pandemic preparedness planning and adeptly arranged for the vaccination of 8 staff during the global monkeypox outbreak, which enabled them to conduct critical clinical testing for the Navy. As sole infectious disease clinician on Navy Medicine's scientific panel, she contributed to 34 reports that advised the Surgeon General of clinical updates with operational relevance. Captain Danko's superior performance of duties culminated her 22 years of honorable and dedicated military service. By her exceptional professionalism, unrelenting perseverance, and loyal devotion to duty, Captain Danko reflected great credit upon herself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Signed, Fort President Guido F. Valdez, Rear Admiral, Medical Corps, United States Navy. Please be seated. Now, Captain Denniston will now present Captain Danko with her certificate of retirement. Forces of the United States of America. All who shall see these presents, greetings.
Greetings.
This is to certify that Captain Janine Ruth Danko, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Navy on the first day of September 2023. Signed, Rick Cheeseman, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Chief of Naval Personnel. Captain Denniston will now present a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, to Captain Danko, honoring her 22 years of active duty service to the nation. The certificate reads, Captain Janine Danko, I extend my personal gratitude and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect your fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. Captain Danko is also receiving certificates of appreciation from former presidents of the United States, Donald Trump and George W. Bush, and the Governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, U.S. Senators Benjamin Cardin and Christopher Van Hollen, Representatives Andrew P. Harris and Kwasi Mfume, the Acting Surgeon General of the United States, Rear Admiral Darren Vai, and the Chief of Medical Corps, Rear Admiral Guido Valdez. At this time, we would like to recognize Captain Danko's family. Mr. John Danko and their children, Daniel, Peter, and Mary Danko. We will begin with a letter of appreciation for Mr. John Danko. It reads, Letter of Appreciation. Naval Medical Research Command recognizes Mr. John David Danko for faithful commitment and outstanding moral support provided to your wife, Captain Janine R. Danko, over the course of 22 years of her service in the United States Navy. Your enduring and selfless dedication, outward display of unwavering support, and unconditional love of Captain Danko during her time in service has not gone unnoticed. The United States Navy and this command thank you for your many sacrifices and noble support to Captain Janine Danko and our nation. Signed, William M. Denniston, Captain, United States Navy Commander. We will now present certificates to each of Captain Danko's children, Daniel, Peter, and Mary. The letters of appreciation read, Naval Medical Research Command recognizes Daniel Joseph Danko, Peter John Danko, and Mary Elizabeth Danko for faithful commitment and outstanding moral support provided to your mother, Captain Janine R. Danko, throughout her service in the United States Navy. Your courage, unwavering understanding, and unconditional love for your mother in the face of separation during her service to our nation and to the American people have not gone unnoticed. The United States Navy and this command thank you for your many sacrifices, resilience, and noble support for Captain Janine Danko and her duty to our nation. Signed, William M. Denniston, Captain, United States Navy Commander. Danko family, and thank you, Captain Denniston. Captain Danko would like to honor her mother and mother-in-law with a presentation of gifts. Now, we would like to invite Dr. Kevin Porter, Captain, Medical Corps, United States Navy, retired, and Director of the Defense Infectious Disease Directorate, to present a special memento to Captain Danko on behalf of the Directorate and the Translational and Clinical Research Department. A shadow box has a long Navy tradition. When a sailor retires and departs the ship for the last time, it is bad luck for a sailor's shadow to touch land. So the sailor shipmates will traditionally construct a sturdy box in which to display the mementos of the sailor's accomplishments, symbolically creating a shadow for the sailor, which will remain on board until the box can be given to the sailor at a later time on shore. This shadow box contains symbols from each stage of Captain Danko's esteemed full-time active duty career, from lieutenant to captain, and serves as a token of a heartfelt appreciation from her colleagues and her friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my absolute pleasure to invite Captain Janine Danko to the podium for her remarks.
I have at the top of my piece of paper, breathe. It's hard to believe this moment is here. I'm mostly going to try to stay the script and the comments I wrote earlier, just to make sure I get everything. The purpose of us all being here is not about me. We're really doing this for all of you. It's for me to say thank you to all of you and to reflect on community and service and family. I've only reached this place in life because of my family, my mentors, my colleagues, my friends, and because of the grace of God. I'm truly so grateful for all of you present here today. Some of you came in from California, Ohio, Massachusetts, North Carolina, and there are individuals dear to me that were unable to make it today due to the distance, timing, or personal circumstance. While I'm not live streaming this, I am recording it so that this, especially my expression of thanks, can also be shared with them. One of those individuals is my dad. Dad, I know you would have been here if it was possible. I know you're with me in spirit. At the top, I'd like to thank you, Captain Dennison, for officiating my ceremony, and to CMC for ensuring that we're doing it all correctly. And to Lieutenant Julia Johnson for being the grand orchestrator of today's ceremony. Lieutenant Johnson, your patience with me over the last 2.5 months with my plan of action and milestones, spreadsheets, and focus on the details has meant so much. Santina, that was an amazing rendition of the national anthem. You are good. It was so very special to have you offer your talent for us today. Captain Tenezamora, we endured residency together, and we've risen through the ranks as infectious disease doctors, supporting each other with work and family skills. To each of my colleagues that are side peeps, you're all women. Those in my flag detail, the Watch, HM2 Ivy, HM1 Savo. It has been wonderful to have been serving alongside you. Thank you so much for being here today and your support. Lieutenant Commander Cooper, Lieutenant Commander Robinson, and Lieutenant Commander Gilbert. It has been such a privilege to teach each of you and to see you building your skills and leadership styles. It's so exciting to see such consummate female clinicians like you. You are the future of Navy infectious disease. Thank you to so many of my mentors here who have shaped the physician, the leader, and the researcher that I am today. My first internal medicine program director, Dr. Angeline Lazarus, Dr. Phyllis Callahan and Dr. Jim Janik from Miami University of Ohio, Dr. Kevin Porter, Dr. Charmaine Beckett, Dr. Wendy Bernstein, and Captain Syra Aslam. Thank you to so many of my infectious disease colleagues who are here from USU Medical School, the Walter Reed Infectious Disease Clinic family, and the Navy Medical Research Command, including my former virology colleagues, Min Wong and Dr. Pei-Hong Sun, and those from the Translational and Clinical Research Department, Sandra, Santina, Greg, Lieutenant Walter, and Lindsay. Thank you. I see Dr. Mark Porter-Peter over there. We went through the grind of infectious disease fellowship together, and we survived the heat of Egypt, learning tropical infectious disease. I'm thankful for the colleagues with whom I served in the education training and research directorate, Mary Johnson and Elijah Harvey, and those who took heroic efforts to get me back safely from Tonga in the South Pacific after my deployment, John Warner. Along my journey, there are so many of you who have encouraged and supported me on so many levels while getting the mission done at Walter Reed and NMRC. Barcy Jordan, Raven Simpson, Deidre Whitaker Boyd, Sandy Dean, Barbara Moiselle, and my host local mom while I was a Hopkins med student, Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick. I'm grateful to have served in several hospital and regional leadership positions along my career with incredibly talented colleagues. See, in military medicine, our ship is the hospital, and we are always striving for what is right and what is the best healthcare for our patients. Dr. Rob Leota, Commander McCullough, Dr. Steve Ferrara, thank you. And I'm so very fortunate to have met two astonishingly wonderful human beings right here in the front row through my mother. They are both Navy veterans, they live locally, and they have been two of my biggest fans, Mrs. Alice Lanning and Captain Retired Al Hennessy. Your Navy enthusiasm and regular check-ins with me when you're at Walter Reed for your appointments have kept me smiling. Thank you for helping me with today's events and for always praying for me. Well, I'm so deeply touched to also have my neighbors from Kings Grant and members of my church family from St. Louis Catholic Church, Father Dioscanis, and many dear sisters in Christ. You have prayed with me and for me and for my family for years, and you truly model living lives of service for others. And now a transition for my family. I'll start with my parents. Mom and Dad, you've supported me in everything I wanted to do. Dad, I know you're watching this ceremony. Thank you for encouraging me along my path and always believing in me. Mom, you've always been the wind beneath my wings. You were worried when I deployed, and you've seen me through much illness and strife. You've been there for my daily daughter calls when I commuted home from Bethesda. You are such an amazing grandmother to our 3 kids, and you're always willing to drive in when I was on the inpatient service to give our team Danko a hand. I'm eternally grateful for you. Thank you for listening to me, guiding me, and talking me through some grueling times, both at work and at home, and for molding me into the woman and the mother I am today. To my sister Justine, my twin sister, we were in utero together, and you're a tremendous sister and mother. Thank you for coming to town and for all of your consistent encouragement. And now to my home team, Team Danko, as we call ourselves. Daniel, Peter, and Mary, you are my life. My vocation as your mother means more to me than anything. You often say I talk too much. Or you wonder why I insist that we have family dinner together every night. I realize I often get caught up in the details of our color-coded family Google calendar. And I may come home from work and my commute a little tired. But I live for you, my 3 blessings. I'm so very proud of the young people that you are. You have the world ahead of you. You can be anything you want to be, and I will always be here for each of you. To Daniel, you are such a fine, accomplished, intelligent, and inquisitive young man. Your musical interludes in our home fill my heart with joy. You're the calm, cool, and collected one in our bunch, who's always reminding me to take it easy, Mom, and it's gonna be okay. Peter, you are amazing. You actually remind me a lot of the mini me. You're trying to squeeze in athletics and music lessons and rehearsals and scouts and a part-time job into a 24-hour day on top of your vigorous academic load. You're such a bright goal setter. You aim high, and you don't let a little pain or a few obstacles get in your way of accomplishing them. Your grit and perseverance are truly astonishing. As I remind you when I tuck you in every night, I'll always be your mama, and I'll always be here for you. Mary, I'm so proud of the young woman that you are. You are creative, spunky, and you have an infectious energy that illuminates our home, in your social circles, and on the soccer fields. You have been through so much the past 2 years, and you truly displayed a lot of courage. I'll always be there for you, even when you tell me to be quiet, Mom, because I'm too loud on the soccer side field. I'll always be cheering for you. And now to John. When we met in Lourdes, France, 22 and a half years ago, I told you I was starting active duty the next month and moving to Bethesda. And I let you know that I had a decent Navy commitment of 8 years. You took that in stride. I told you that I might get orders to live and work overseas. And you told me, we'll be okay. We didn't know if I'd be able to have children and where my orders would take me, but you've been by my side, holding my hand through all of it. The Navy is symbolic in that there are rough seas and smooth seas, but you've really been my anchor. You've kept me grounded in our faith and in our family, the 2 most important things in life. We've navigated the rough seas through prayer. You've wiped my tears, and you've calmed me down when I've been anxious. When I deployed a few times, you orchestrated the home team, and when I was up for orders again, every couple of years, making yet another transition, you hugged me and said, it's all gonna work out. Thank you for being my rock, my anchor, and my best friend. And now in the last few minutes, I'd just like to provide a few final reflections as I transition out of the military. Back in 1992, when I started the Navy ROTC program at Miami University in Ohio, I knew I was embarking on a career path different than most of my peers. When I accepted a Navy scholarship to medical school, I knew I was adding years to my commitment. I anticipated I would serve my obligated years of service and then leave the Navy. But I never imagined that I'd have such a diverse and fulfilling medical career, learn so much about leadership, and have so many adventures. And I'd earn the ranks of commander and captain. I know I will really miss my military family and this amazing community, and that it will be really hard to find the same camaraderie and dedication to service in the civilian world. In the military healthcare system, our focus is on the relief of suffering in our active duty, our veterans, and military family members. My inner ethos has always been that of service to others. Although this is a retirement ceremony, I'm not retiring for good. I'll keep striving to help others around me. So I'd like to just offer a few principles that have motivated me and can hopefully inspire some of you, especially the younger officers in the room. Number 1, in the words of Mother Teresa, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Mother Teresa believed that greatness lies not in grand gesture, but in the sincere love and care that we infuse into even the smallest acts of kindness. Every small action fueled by love has the potential to create a positive impact and can make a significant difference in people's lives. Some of my favorite moments are really by the patient's bedside or working with families through end-of-life challenges. I don't always have the cures for their ailments, but I just try to sit still and listen. Number 2, give the best that you have every day. Constantly look for ways you can personally improve, and look for ways that you can improve something in your sphere. The Navy always has us thinking about our next fitness report or our annual report card. But in a way, this has ingrained in me that I am a unique person. I've been put here for a reason to offer my skills and talents to make the world a better place. Consider how you're sharpening your skills and where you can offer a hand. Number 3, you can't go it alone, and you won't always have the answers. Community is everything. I've mentioned my amazing home team and how so many of you in the military community have impacted my life. Reaching out for help isn't a sign of weakness. Build each other up, and as we say in our house, fill up each other's buckets. And number 4, a Marine Corps officer who served in Vietnam named Robert O'Malley said, no matter how difficult it seems at the time, it's easier to do the right thing than to spend a lifetime regretting that you didn't. I've always strived to do what I said I would do and to be a person of integrity. And finally, it's another one of Mother Teresa's maxims. A life not lived for others is not a life. Mother Teresa's life was a testament to the transformative power of selfless service. She believed that true fulfillment and purpose come from dedicating ourselves to serving others. By living for the well-being and happiness of those around us, we find true meaning in our own lives. I have done my best to steer my ship in the direction of mission and service. God is my rudder and has infused every detail for his purpose. My journey is not just a travelogue, but hopefully a testimony. The values that I've learned during my naval service of integrity, perseverance, and discipline will always be a part of my core for future pursuits. I leave the Navy as a humbled sailor, grateful to have been given the opportunity to serve for 22 years. Thank you.
So at this time, we would like to pay a special tribute to our nation's flag. The Old Glory flag ceremony is a time-honored tradition that symbolizes the service members rise through the ranks. But most importantly, it represents their love for our nation that they so proudly serve. Dr. Stephen Ferrara will lead the reading of Old Glory.
Flag detail. Post. Side step. March. Forward. March. Detail. Halt.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I stand guard majestically over the great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped, I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, in the Persian Gulf, and a score of places long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them and watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters, heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloody, will never be beaten. Those who would destroy me cannot win, for I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country, and when it is by those whom I have served with in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the surly bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I am torn in strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field
And yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this hospital and public health leader stood the watch. In those years, when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizons of history, this associate professor of medicine stood the watch.
Many times she would cast an eye ashore and see her family standing there, needing her help and guidance, needing a hand to hold during difficult times. But still she stood the watch. She stood the watch for 22 years. She stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly and safely each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today we are here to say, shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch. We have relief. We stand relieved. You have relief. You are relief for all those you have led and trained and educated. Captain Danko, you stand relieved. We have the watch. Boatswain, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate, going ashore.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as Captain Danko reads the retirement orders and remain standing for the benediction and the completion of the ceremony.
From Commander, Naval Personnel Command. Subject, Bupers Order 0463. Official retirement orders for Captain Janine Ruth Danko, Medical Corps, United States Navy. Your request to be transferred to the retire list was approved by the Secretary of the Navy effective 1 September 2023. You will be transferred to the retire list with the grade of captain and with the retired pay of captain when directed by reported senior, detach in August 2023, and proceed to home of selection. Regard relieved of all active duty on date of detachment. Signed, M.W. Bays, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Personnel Command.
Father Diascanis will now offer the benediction.
Privileged to be Janine's pastor, also to be chaplain of the Catholic Medical Association, working with her. So we ask God to bless her in her roles as part of the church, her role in medicine in the future, her role serving our nation, serving our families. So we ask for God's blessing upon us. Lord Jesus, we ask you to bless Janine, Captain Danko. Guide her future as she seeks to know and do your will. How best to serve you, how best to serve her family, how best to serve our nation, how best to serve her neighbors. And Holy God, we ask you to continue to bless our United States and our military as they seek to preserve our freedoms, especially our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion. We ask you to protect them from physical and spiritual harm. And Holy God, we ask you to bless all here present today. We offer you this Catholic blessing, the Lord be with you. And may Almighty God bless you all, the Father and Son and Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
In accordance with the naval tradition, Captain Danko will request permission to go ashore for the last time. Bosun, post the side boys.
Aye, ma'am. Side boys, left or right, face. Half step forward, march.
Commander, request permission to go ashore.
As much as I would like to keep you in this Navy and have you lead our sailors, mission granted.
Sir. Sound 4 bells. Captain, United States Navy, retired, departing. Sound 4 bells. Navy family, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. On behalf of Captain Danko and her family, I would like to thank you for taking part in this time-honored tradition. Special thank you to Captain Dennison for presiding over the ceremony today, and the reception immediately follows and is located to the left of the hall. Please proceed through the door located to the left or out the rear of the music hall and around the